Coming up on BCN today. 63 Canadians are dead following a plane crash in Iran that killed all 176 people on board. Plus, Iran launches missiles in retaliation at U.S. military bases in Iraq. And we speak to an Alberta firefighter who is helping to save lives as he battles the wildfires in Australia.
Your Canada. Your southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello, thank you for joining us. 63 Canadians have been killed in a Ukrainian plane crash in Iran, including some from Alberta. The Ukraine International Airlines flight went down just minutes after takeoff early this morning, creating a field of flaming debris. Iranian officials have said they suspect a mechanical issue brought down the 3-year-old Boeing 737-800 aircraft. Ukrainian International Airlines has released a list of the passengers on the plane that crashed after taking off from Tehran's airport, killing all 176 people aboard. The list includes years of birth, but not nationalities. The youngest person listed was born in 2016. Global Affairs Canada is now urging Canadians to avoid non-essential travel to Iran due to the volatile security situation. Early Wednesday, Iran fired a series of ballistic missiles at 2 military bases in Iraq that house American troops. Iranian state TV aired video of what they said were the missiles being launched. Meanwhile, the Iraqi prime minister says Iran notified that its response had begun and that retaliation would be limited to locations where the U.S. military is present. The office says Iraq was simultaneously informed by the Americans that the 2 military bases were under attack. It says there are no reports of Iraqi casualties or of any losses among the U.S.-led coalition. The European Union says it will spare no efforts in its attempt to keep alive the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. It says it will reach out to all participants in the global deal to save it from collapse. Iran has rolled back its commitments to the deal. This follows the U.S. decision to pull out of the agreement that restricted Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Hundreds of families have been left homeless in Puerto Rico after the strongest quake to hit the U.S. territory in more than 100 years. More than 700 people are staying in government shelters. The magnitude 6.4 quake that struck yesterday morning killed 1 person and injured 9 others. A majority of Puerto Ricans are still without electricity today. Governor Wanda Vazquez declared a state of emergency and activated the National Guard. Closer to home, RCMP have confirmed that it was an 18-year-old woman who died after her van collided with a Dodge 1-ton truck on Highway 3 near Coaldale Monday night. Coaldale RCMP Staff Sergeant Glenn Henry explains exactly what happened.
On Highway 3 at the intersection of Highway 512, which is about 10 kilometers east of Coaldale, just this side of the McCain's plant, we had a silver Suzuki Vitara SUV driving eastbound on Highway 3. At the intersection of Highway 512, a blue Dodge 1-ton truck pulled out in front, merged onto the highway, and there was a collision. The result of the collision was the fatality of a young girl from Pitcher Butte who passed away. There were 2 occupants in the Dodge truck. The driver of the truck was a female, was taken to the Chinook Regional Hospital for treatment for what we understand to be non-life-threatening injuries. The other passenger, a male, was treated on scene and released.
The RCMP in Coaldale are asking for witnesses to the accident to come forward. If you have information that can help police, call the Coaldale RCMP at 403-329-5080. It turned out to be a busy holiday season for RCMP detachments in southern Alberta, especially when it came to impaired drivers. Coaldale RCMP Staff Sergeant Glenn Henry says throughout December, Coaldale and Picture Butte RCMP members were involved with a few complaints involving impaired driving.
Yep, so the Coaldale RCMP on December the 7th participated in a national-wide campaign for impaired driving. We refer to it as the National Impaired Driving Enforcement Day. So on that date, we set up outside of the city of Lethbridge 3 check stops. We conducted check stops for about 5 hours, stopped about 250 vehicles. We're very fortunate that day that we only had one suspended driver detected. So I'd like to think that maybe the message is getting out there that, don't drink and drive.
The results are in from the Christmas and New Year's Eve check stops in Lethbridge. Police have an update for us. They say of the 600 vehicles stopped, 5 people were charged with impaired driving.
We had 16 license suspensions, 19 vehicles were seized, 5 individuals were charged for prohibited driving, so they had a previous suspension. And 31 tickets were issued and 1 warrant was executed, and we had 1 individual that failed to stop for the check stop.
With the help of our province's scan unit, Alberta sheriffs have closed down a drug house in Lethbridge. The home, located at 82 Assiniboia Way, will be shut down for 90 days. Under the terms of the community safety order, crews boarded up the house, changed the locks, and fenced up the property to stop anyone from entering. Police have responded to nearly 60 calls between 2017 and 18 on this drug house, and still more this year, including a search where police found methamphetamine and various drug paraphernalia.
There's so many people coming and going from this property. It was easy to establish drug activity and drug trafficking occurring at the property. And within a month, we obtained a warning letter and served it on the owner who resides in this property. This house was riddled with needles. During the search warrants, they had seized methamphetamine, carfentanil, cocaine. They had seized lockpicks, stolen property, credit cards, identity thefts were notable. In addition to that, there was a stolen handgun. There was a rifle in December seized from this property. The neighbors were, quite frankly, frightened. This community was frightened. There were several complainants that have taken extreme measures of putting video cameras on their homes, which of course comes at a cost. And two complainants had actually moved from their properties and sold them due to the activity that was occurring at this property. This homeowner has and is facing criminal charges. So depending on the disposition of those charges, she may or may not be back here.
It appears a union that represents more than 20,000 health workers will finally get a meeting with Health Minister Tyler Shandro. The Health Sciences Association of Alberta says it has been seeking a sit-down with Shandro for 251 days. The breakthrough came after the union criticized Shandro for boasting on social media about meeting the frontline workers. Shandro's office says the minister said yes to a meeting after the union agreed they would not discuss ongoing contract negotiations. Earlier, opposition leader Rachel Notley said that it is a cowardly and it's shameful for the health minister to brush off thousands of frontline health workers being laid off. And with wildfires burning out of control in Australia and a state of emergency going into effect in New South Wales, hundreds of volunteer firefighters are on their way to help battle the blazes. One firefighter from Alberta has been aiding in firefighting efforts. Graham Trenholm, an active firefighter with the High River Fire and Foothills Fire Department, has been in Australia helping to battle the blazes for around 6 weeks now.
It's definitely been devastating, and just seeing what it's done to, I was up north in Grafton, and all the animals up there are super, super skinny. They're just in a bad drought. There's been no food for them. We'll get ahead of it. We'll get some containment lines in, and then we'll get a bad fire day, and it'll spot, it'll jump the lines, it goes for a run, and then all you're doing is you're jumping back, you're doing structure protection, and you're doing what you can there. If you got to pull out, you pull out to a safe area, and then you just keep repeating that when it's those really hot, windy, dry days. And all of Australia right now is 6.3 million hectares, and 3.6 million of that is in New South Wales alone. It's definitely taking its toll, and it's just devastating too to the economy. When the communities are pitching in, they're all helping.
To date, the fires have killed 24 people, millions of animals have died, and more than 2,000 homes have been destroyed. Last month, a gunman opened fire at a church in Burkina Faso, killing 14 Christians. Another attack by suspected Islamist extremists killed 35 civilians in an attack on a military base. Dr. Daniel Zupola is a Lethbridge pastor and is originally from Burkina Faso. He's headed back to the volatile country on a missions trip. He spoke with BCN's Hal Roberts about safety concerns.
I am very concerned for the safety of everyone in Burkina Faso these days. And indeed, since 2015, this is what has been established, quite a loss of attack on the civilian populations. And in particular, the places of worship are being attacked more and more. And so I wanted to go there and bring my contribution. It is indeed scary, but sometimes God calls us to be in those scary places. To be beacons of hope. Over the years, especially since 1960, we've seen that the quality of life go from just degrading more and more. It goes from being a peaceful country to more and more people running for food because of famine. And now, with the political instability, we are noticing more and more instability caused by jihadists that have been coming all the way from Libya, Mauritania, and northern Mali. And there is a significant fear that if nothing is done, the conflict is going to get even worse and that many people are going to lose their lives.
Burkina Faso is a mostly Muslim country which has descended into serious unrest since 2015. Around 700 people have been killed and more than 560,000 people have been displaced over the past 5 years. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney met with Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland in Calgary Tuesday. Her tour through Alberta comes after the Liberals were shut out of our province during the last federal election. Kenney last met with Freeland in November when he asked Ottawa for a firm guarantee on completion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion and to repeal what he sees as unfavorable energy bills. Freeland is now set to travel to Grand Prairie and Peace River to meet with officials. She met with Edmonton's mayor on Monday. With the Iranian regime retaliation against the U.S. following the death of Soleimani, they have allegedly even threatened to attack the White House. Our foreign affairs expert Lisa Daftari weighs in on this possibility.
They can make all the threats they want. That's how the Iranian regime operates. A lot of propaganda and a lot of threats. And Hal and I, you and I speak about this a lot, about the way that the Iranian regime touts their strength, their weapons arsenal, their ability to strike down the enemy. This was a big hit. This is all that this tells me, is that this was a big hit. And they could replace the guy, but they're not going to find anyone who has the strength, the determination, the brutality of Qasem Soleimani.
Catch the entire interview with our foreign affairs expert, Lisa Daftari, as we discuss what she believes is next for the U.S. and Iran. That is coming up in the second half of our show. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump defended his decision to target and kill the Iranian general, insisting his decision saved American lives.
What can you tell us about what you knew prior to ordering the attack?
Well, number one, I knew the past. His past was horrible. He was a terrorist. He was so designated by President Obama, as you know, and he wasn't even supposed to be outside of his own country. He was, so right there. But that's, in a way, the least of it. We had an attack very recently that he was in charge of where we had people horribly wounded, 1 dead. In fact, the number now, as of this morning, I believe is 2 dead. And that was his. He was traveling with the head of Hezbollah. They weren't there to discuss a vacation. They weren't there to go to a nice resort someplace in Baghdad. They were there to discuss bad business. And we saved a lot of lives by terminating his life. A lot of lives have saved. They were planning something, and you're going to be hearing about it, or at least various people in Congress are going to be hearing about it tomorrow.
Trump has also since backed down from his threats to target Iranian cultural sites. And on the flip side, Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden says President Trump's escalation of tensions with Iran proves him to be dangerously incompetent and puts the U.S. on the brink of war.
6 months ago, here in New York City, I made the case that Donald Trump was dangerously incompetent and incapable of world leadership. And the past few days, in the wake of the killing of the Iranian General Soleimani, I think Donald Trump has proven beyond that comment beyond dispute. The haphazard decision-making process that led up to it, the failure to consult with our allies or Congress, and the reckless disregard for the consequences that would surely follow was, in my view, dangerously incompetent.
About a dozen people were injured this morning in a 30-car pileup during the Tuesday morning commute on Interstate 95 near Bangor, Maine. State troopers, that's according to state troopers, ambulances and a medical helicopter were dispatched to the crash site, according to authorities. Well, the snow will continue and temperatures will begin to plummet this week, but eastern Canada is getting pummeled with a snowstorm. Weather details are coming up shortly. And welcome back. Here's a look at our weather highlights. For today in Lethbridge, we're going to see a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 4 degrees. Not too bad, but a low of -15 overnight. And in tomorrow, it looks like that temperature's not going to change from overnight. The high tomorrow is only -15. We are going to see a chance of flurries as well tomorrow. And looking ahead to the 5-day forecast, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we got some wicked weather coming for us. -3 is the high on Friday, not too bad. -9 is the high on Saturday. But it's going to plummet to -22 on Sunday, -25 is the high on Monday, and -22 is the high for next Tuesday. Expect some flurry activity as well on Sunday and Monday. Looking at the almanac, they tell us that the average high this time of year should be around -2, the average low around -14. Looks like we are kind of hitting in that range and beyond. The highest temperature on this day on record was back in 1943. It was 13 degrees. The lowest temperature was -38. It was in 1989. Let's hope we don't get anywhere near that. The sun rose this morning at 8:27 a.m. We'll be setting this afternoon just before 5 p.m. at around 4:48 p.m. Looking to the west coast, we're going to see a mix of sun and cloud, highs of 7 degrees and 4 degrees in Vancouver and Victoria today. Edmonton's high is -11. The high today in Calgary will be -9. Expect some flurries in both of those cities, as well as across the prairies today. Saskatoon's high -12, Regina's high -11. Flurries expected in both of those cities. Winnipeg's high will be -15, and they are going to see some snow there as well. Looking to Toronto, some flurries all across the east today. -3 is the high in Toronto, -1 is the high in Ottawa. Same thing for Montreal, not too bad compared to what we're looking at here. And in eastern Canada, Environment Canada has issued warnings of snowfall, 15 to 25 centimeters and lots of wind. Fredericton's high, though, is -5. The high in Halifax is 0. -1 is the high in Charlottetown, and 0 is the high in St. John. So the temperature's not too bad, but tons of snowfall there. That's your forecast. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Lethbridge residents are invited to an open house Thursday, January 9th between 5 and 8 p.m. at the Westminster Hall. This meeting is to give residents an opportunity to learn about future redevelopment policies and to provide feedback. Topics will include secondary suites, multifamily housing, building and site design, transportation, and utilities and servicing. Kid-friendly activities will be available. For more information, visit lethbridge.ca or call 311. Lethbridge Legal Guidance is a nonprofit society offering free legal advice to low-income Southern Albertans. It holds clinics on Tuesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. by appointment only. Some of the areas the society assists in include family, criminal, traffic, immigration, EI, and other issues. For more information, call 403-380-6338 or email lethbridgelegalguidance@telus.net. Looking for a fun place where you and your kids can play? Come for a fun family night to the Family Center in downtown Lethbridge, Thursday evenings from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. beginning January 9th. Me and My Family promotes learning through play and provides a safe place for kids to explore through physical activity, imagination, and creativity. For more information, visit famcenter.ca. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
While many businesses are slowing down after the busy holiday shopping season, gyms, health clubs, and fitness centers are now in their peak period of participation thanks to New Year's resolutions. BCN's Loris Alexander spoke with the owners of Anytime Fitness in Lethbridge. They have advice on how to conquer your fitness goals.
If you're a true beginner and just starting down your road to a healthier you, you'll want to keep a few things in mind. First, don't expect too much out of yourself right away.
The most consistent is you need to get in shape, you need to lose weight, you need to change your lifestyle when you walk it for January 1st. A lot of people wait till January 1st too, and I think because all Christmas they're eating and drinking and socializing and enjoying it, they use that day as like their start point.
So how do you conquer the battle of the bulge?
Being specific. So if you create a goal, it's like make a number to it, develop a timeline, develop a way to kind of celebrate the small wins of that victory.
Just like when I quit smoking, it was like, you know, it took you so many times to actually fully get into that quit mode, same as the gym. It takes you so much to develop this habit, this gym, because it's a lifestyle. It's not really, you know, you can't just go one time a month and expect results. You have to continue with it, and the more that you start seeing these results, the happier you get. So
CJ says staying accountable is a big struggle for clients that are new to working out.
If you can either get like a workout partner, maybe get a coach that you know, hire a personal trainer, develop some relationships in the gym and create that accountability, you're going to succeed a lot faster at that goal than if you're doing it by yourself.
Surprisingly, the most common setback to achieving fitness goals?
Motivation. Motivation doesn't stick around forever. We get up one morning, motivation's there, it's high, we're ready to go, we're ready to do that. The next day the motivation might not be there. So really if you can develop that discipline instead of that motivation, you'll be able to stick to it a lot longer.
For Bridge City News, I'm Loris Alexander.
Thank you, Loris. Many members of Team Canada have returned home after winning gold at the World Junior Hockey Championship in the Czech Republic. Canada defeated Russia 4-3 in the final.
It feels unbelievable. It just hasn't really sunk in yet. Obviously, it's about a day ago now, but it's just unbelievable. I think just the way our group kind of dealt with adversity. I think obviously it was some adversity early on. I think from the start we wanted to get better every day, and I thought we did that extremely well. Obviously it showed in the finals.
On the bench, you know, I was thinking like I'm going to get one more shift out here and I'm going to score, and that's just what I was thinking the whole period. And luckily coach called me up, and I just had a feeling I was going to score. And you know, all the staff on my team were telling me I was going to score pretty much every game, and I came back to the locker room after every game, you know, thinking I didn't score that game, but I knew it was coming, and I just kind of stuck with it, and it came. I can't even explain how proud I am.
Cannabis oil, otherwise known as CBD, is a chemical compound from the cannabis plant, which many use to treat chronic pain. Now, apparently, CBD is used on pets. That market is expanding rapidly, and consumer testimonials are abundant online, but scientific documentation is virtually non-existent.
It's not easy to watch Bentley have a seizure.
Because you never know if it's going to be the last one, you know.
Amy Carter had heard from a friend that CBD oil might help her dog's epilepsy. So she switched from a prescription drug that only temporarily reduced his seizures to CBD oil drops. The seizures were reduced from up to 12 a week to only 6 over the first 7 months.
Really, we have had such great success with it.
CBD is the compound extracted from the cannabis plant that marketers say can treat a range of human ailments without getting users high. Pet owners, though, have been buying CBD to treat animals for anxiety, stress, joint pain, general wellness, and seizure disorders. But the products are not regulated by the FDA.
But what we don't have, and what is frustrating, is we don't have the research behind those applications, and without that, we don't always know exactly what those products are doing to the animal.
And CBD-related calls to the Pet Poison Helpline, which covers North America,
Keep an eye out today for any vomiting.
have increased from 87 cases in 2018 to 219 last year.
While they may contain CBD, they may contain a lot more than what's stated on the label. You might actually have products that are out there that say they contain CBD, and there's nothing to be found in there.
For now, the American Veterinary Medical Association recommends checking with a vet before starting CBD. For Amy Carter, her vet didn't agree with the CBD usage.
I definitely take her opinion and listen, but in the end, we're going to do what we think is best for our dog.
She just wants to keep Bentley happy and dancing. Carrie Antelfinger, Associated Press.
Tensions continue to escalate between the Trump administration and Iran since the death of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. An $80 million bounty has been put on the head of the U.S. president. Coming up, our foreign affairs expert, Lisa Daftari, gives us her thoughts on what is next for the U.S. and Iran. That's coming up right after the break. Stay with us.